Please take your String Checker version 2 and make a version of it called String Checker version 3. The first thing that we're going to do is we need to feed in the question rather than feeding in a user response. Then, instead of lowercasing our user response, what we're going to do is we're going to ask the user a question, lowercase their answer, and set that as user response. Finally, if the user doesn't say, for example, yes or no, instead of returning invalid, we're going to remove that line completely, and what that will do is it will just ask the question again. Then we can go down to underneath our function and we can remove all of our testing code. In our main routine, we can set up two lists, one for yes/no responses, and the second one for rock, paper, scissors, which does need to include the exit code. We can then call it and we can ask if users want to see the instructions, and we need two things. We need the question, do you want to see instructions? And we also need to feed in our yes/no list. Then for testing purposes, we can state what the user chose. And if I run it, it works quite well in that it won't accept maybe, it does accept uppercase yes, and it tells me I chose yes. One of the big problems though is it's not giving me an error message. One way to fix this is to set up an error message at the start of our function, and we can even do this before we start our loop. The error says enter a valid option and it gives them the list, and that means that if they do get to the end of the loop outside of our for loop, we can print out the error. And as you can see, this is a lot more successful. If we say maybe, it says we must choose yes or no, and if we say uppercase Y, it says we chose yes. If you'd like, please see if you can call this function to ask the user if they want rock, paper, or scissors. Pause this video and give it a go. And there's what my function call now looks like. And when we run the code, we can see that it successfully checks for rock, paper, or scissors, and if we say capital S, it does return scissors. There is one more fun trick that I have up my sleeve, and it's this. A lot of the time we're asking yes/no questions, and we don't want to have to always say yes/no. In fact, it would be really nice if our valid answer defaulted to yes/no. So we can set that up by saying valid answer equals and put in our yes/no list. And what this means is if I do want to do a yes/no response, I don't need to include my yes/no list. And it also means that I don't even need my yes/no list as part of my main routine. And as you can see, my yes/no still works, only now it's a lot easier to call that function. And a reminder that you should regularly commit your code with a sensible comment stating what the code does. In the next video, we're going to edit our instructions component, and we're also going to develop a component to find the number of rounds.